Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Minority Reportz podcast and digital series. I am your host, Mona Sheikh. You guys, happy Thursday, everyone. How's everyone holding up? I am holding up better than I have since Thanksgiving. I think, as everyone know here, and I've been talking about it, I have been sick since Thanksgiving evening, which sucks. I came down with a sore throat, severe body aches, severe fatigue, a lot of COVID-like symptoms. So I've been just kind of fighting through. I hadn't really slept properly in about 3-4 days. So I finally slept last night, but had a really difficult time waking up this morning. So still waiting for my COVID test results. So hopefully it's going to come in soon and we're going to know what the hell's been going on. But you guys, this whole thing with COVID, it is no joke. I literally felt like my body was breaking and falling apart. And it just really sucks. So I, have been just medicating myself and just trying to take care of myself and trying to get better. But it sucks. I've been coming across a lot of people, not a lot, but definitely been coming across some folks who are telling me that it's like the flu. It's not that serious. It's all bullshit. And to those people, I tell you, shut the fuck up, because you guys are causing all kinds of problems and all kinds of confusions and putting your ignorance out there. And people are literally dying. We have COVID cases that are surging in LA County right now. Even in Beverly Hills, they want their own health department. These self-entitled wealthy idiots, and they're saying that they're going to go and have outdoor dining, and they don't give a shit about what the LA County's saying. And you know what? Maybe this is a good way of Darwinism to take care of itself, where you have self-entitled assholes who are going to die at the hands of COVID. Fuck it. If that's what you want, then, nature will be more than happy to provide it to you. But for the rest of us, stay safe out there. Please wear your masks. Please do social distancing. Please don't go to freaking, parties and get together with family members and, jeopardize your life and jeopardize their lives. Let me tell you, I'm still waiting for my COVID test to come back, but I don't think I've ever felt so bad physically in a long, long time. And the other night when I was, I couldn't sleep. First of all, I couldn't sleep all night. It felt like somebody was breaking parts of my body off. That's how much pain, that's how much body ache that I had. So this is not a joke. This is a absolutely serious thing. And I'm just going to keep reiterating it, and I'm going to keep hitting it on the head, because somehow people think that COVID is a joke. They think that COVID is like the flu, which we all know that it's not. I just read an article that just came out, I believe it on Monday, that all of the United States is now considered a hotspot. The entire United States is considered a hotspot. It's no longer LA or New York City or South Dakota or it's all of the country is infected. So until we have vaccines that are going to come in place and people are going to get vaccinated, please stay safe out there. You don't want to get sick. I know the majority of the people who get COVID recover from it, but there are serious health repercussions. I have a dear friend of mine. He got COVID. His left lung has permanently collapsed. He has severe health issues. They cannot diagnose him. He's been to multiple doctors. They don't know what's wrong with him, but they know that it is all COVID related. And COVID is the thing that ruined his body and destroyed his body. So this is kind of where we're at. I'm waiting for my guest today to arrive shortly, but until then, I want to just kind of take a moment and chat with you guys about my kind of health update. The other day, I was having a Zoom call with someone, and I started having heart palpitations. I've never had heart palpitations in my entire existence. How the hell am I having heart palpitations? I just never experienced symptoms like this before. So, I've been very cautious. I don't know how the hell I got sick. I've been incredibly, isolated. And so it just goes to show you that even if someone like myself who lives by herself and here I am and I got infected. I don't know. I'm not going to no parties. I'm not mingling with a bunch of people, practicing social distancing and all that. And yet I got sick. So stay safe out there. Please don't go out. Don't do parties. I saw this one DJ that I'm friends with on Facebook. He's an Indian DJ. And he posted a video, I shit you not, in Texas of this couple, this Indian couple. They got married, had all their relatives come in. They were all wearing masks and they were all dancing together and partying together. And I wrote to him and I'm like, man, this is the most irresponsible post that you could have possibly posted, because you're encouraging people to go out there and party and do all kinds of nonsense. And now God knows, if I pray that those people didn't get sick, and I hope you don't get sick. Anyways, my guest has arrived, so enough with my ranting. I'm very excited about my guest today. I know some people might look at him and be like, hey, how does this guest fit under the minority banner? And I'll tell you exactly why. Because he's the only comedian I know, and I shit you not, this is an absolutely true story. He ran for the he had announced his candidacy for the president of the United States on Twitter on May 13th of 2019. That is true. And he was also the host of Idiotest on Netflix. My very talented friend, Ben Gleib. How are you?
Good, Mona. How are you?
I'm all right, man. I've been sick since Thanksgiving, so I'm just recovering from it.
Oh, damn. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I've been having some weird symptoms, very COVID-like symptoms. So got my COVID test, and I'm waiting to hear back as to what the hell's going on.
Okay. Good luck. I hope you're fine. I had COVID. It's not fun, but you can survive it.
Yeah. Do you have like any health repercussions from it?
I did. Unfortunately, I had a blood clot in my leg.
Whoa.
That luckily I found. My girlfriend encouraged me or forced me to make a doctor's appointment, and they caught it, and just in time, or could have been led to a stroke or heart attack or something. And I got it. I was on blood thinners for 3 months for that.
Whoa.
I had to inject myself in the stomach, or she ended up injecting me in the stomach twice a day for 7 days before going on blood thinner pills. It was intense.
Yeah. No, COVID is, you know what it is, Ben? It's really irritating because I'm coming across a lot of wealthy, entitled people, that are, friends of friends, or, and they're like, it's like the flu. It's not that serious. And I'm like, shut up. Like, this is a serious problem. I mean, you're talking about Beverly Hills just came out and announced that they're going to, they're like, we don't give a shit about what the LA County ordinance is. We're going to keep our outdoor restaurants open. It's like, great. You self-entitled assholes. You go right ahead and fucking die. It's just like, it's just ridiculous at this point, Ben. Don't you think?
I do. I think it's very out of control. I feel for the businesses that are at risk of going out of business. And I think that there needs to be something in mind to make sure that they don't go under. But I do think we need to do is have a full lockdown for a short period of weeks. And then this could have all been over a long time ago, and that can still happen. But we have too many people that are being selfish. So it's a real problem.
Yep, absolutely. Now, Ben, I was watching some of your interviews, especially the one that interested me the most was the one with Tomi Lahren, because she's had you on her show multiple times, like at least 2-3 times, right?
Yeah, and she's done my podcast as well.
Yeah.
We have a long up and down relationship.
Yeah. She called you her favorite Democrat.
Yeah.
And Tommy's a very interesting person in the sense that she's been on her mommy and daddy's health insurance, and has all these privileges that she grew up with, and yet she seems to have a giant heart on for immigrants. And she's a fascinating character to me because she's clearly very beautiful. She's very articulate. But I feel like she's on the wrong side of history. But I'm very impressed in the way you debate her, because it never gets too crazy or out of control. I know that one of the segments you did for her, you got up and left because it was just getting too out of control. It was on Fox News. But Ben, what I want to ask you really is that this idea of running for the presidency, was this entirely your idea, or this was like your friends and family saying, Ben, you should run for president?
It wasn't really friends and family. It was my fans and followers, people that have supported my career for a long time that for years had been telling me that I should run. On my podcast, Last Week on Earth, I get very political. I always try to keep it funny if possible, but I get very political, and I feel like what I had to bring to the race, other than a big heart and a lot of compassion, and I think also a very thorough knowledge of the issues. But what I think best I brought to the race was a good sense of logic. It's what I do on Idiotest. It's what I do in my crowd work. I'm able to find holes in people's logic, and I'm able to pierce them very quickly, very effectively, and with humor in a way that makes somebody look stupid if they don't have thought out opinions. And so I was very afraid that we were not going to beat Trump. And so I thought the way you beat Trump, he's not a politician. You don't beat him with lifelong politicians. That's what we tried in 2016 and failed. He's a heckler, and the way you beat a heckler is a comedian. That's what we do. I don't lose to hecklers. And so I threw my hat into the ring and ran my heart out for 7 months, thanks to the incredible support and backing of generous small dollar donors around the country in every single state in the union, and people that I met on the campaign trail for a very long time. It was the honor of a lifetime. Yep. It was incredible. I didn't win. I don't know if you heard that.
No, I didn't. Oh my God, man, that's me. I'm really heartbroken about that.
Yeah, I did not win. I'm not conceding though. I'm going to keep pushing this. I'm going to keep fighting.
I mean, listen, go big or go home is what I said. That's what Trump is doing, right?
Right.
He's not even showing up at the inauguration, for God's sake.
Showing up where?
He's not even showing up at the inauguration. He said he's not showing up.
Yeah, I'm really on the fence about whether or not he should even be there if we want him there. I don't want him there. He's the biggest asshole ever, but I do think he should probably be there just for the sake of unity in the country and the peaceful transfer of power that is very essential. But he's just a complete evil, soulless devil misanthrope that is trying to tear our country apart piece by piece. And so I don't know what we do. It's incredible. Thank God he's so inept. As I tweeted the other day, he's so inept, you don't even really have to pay attention to his coup attempts because you're like, he's not going to pull it off.
Right. I mean, you know what it is, men. I think about what Biden and Harris have, the task that they have at hand, given the pandemic, given, the unemployment rate and, economically where the country is right now. Do you feel like Biden, first of all, do you think Biden is a corporate Democrat? And B, do you think Biden and Harris are up to the challenge?
It's a big question. I think that I don't think I wouldn't call him a corporate Democrat. I would call him not a very left Democrat, but I think I'm heartened so far to see some of the choices he's putting in his administration. I'm heartened to see the fact that he seems to want to embrace change. I think that he was a huge part of what made gay marriage happen in our country. I think he has made mistakes in his career, but I think he's learned from them and he's admitted mistakes, which I think is a very big thing for politicians to do and one that they rarely can do, one that Trump's incapable of. And I think absolutely he and Harris together are up to the challenge. I think it's essentially to me like a third Obama administration. They're going to have the same people, the same resources. Barack's going to be on the phone.
Sure. Of course he is.
But many think that the Obama administration itself was not progressive enough, and in some ways I agree. But they had, Herculean tasks at their feet. So we shall see. We have to, as soon as the transfer of power happens, then we got to start holding Biden and Harris to account. But I think it's a pretty damn good start, and we at least cleared the big hurdle that we had of making sure that Trump lost, and stop the orange monster was one of the big slogans of my campaign. Finally, hopefully have done that. We'll see come the 20th, but he's out. He's even starting to slip it into his insane language. Look, whether I'm here again or back in 4 years. So, he's starting to creep into his rhetoric.
Sure.
So we shall see. We shall see. What do you think? I'm going to grab my battery charger, by the way, while you say that.
Go for it. First of all, I am just beyond touched and beyond excited to see a woman as a VP. That's number one, and someone who's actually of my background. Kamala Harris is half South Asian, so that is a very honorable thing. I, quite frankly, never thought that in my lifetime I would ever see someone of my background, even if it's half, to be in the White House. But
pretty darn cool, right?
It is. I was broken down in tears. Like when I heard about it, it was very, very touching. I think because, look, I'm an immigrant. I'm not, I moved from Pakistan when I was 15. For me to ever be a VP or president of the United States is not an option, right? Also, I'm too old for it now. But,
you're not too old for it. That's for sure.
That's true. I'm not too old. But
also, if I can just say one quick thing about it too, if you want to even make yourself feel better. Don't think of her as half South Asian. Think of her as all half South Asian.
All of half South Asian, yeah. But she is all woman. So that to me, that is like
everything I hear.
Yeah, that's the top-notch thing for me. So I'm very, very excited about the kind of things that she's going to do and the kind of legislation she's going to help pass that I'm very, very excited about. I think, my thing is that I like Joe Biden. Joe Biden wasn't my top choice. I'm a Bernie bro. I have been a Bernie bro. I know that, some of the ideas and, things that Bernie put forward, people are like, it's not practical. How are we going to do it? Where are we going to find the money? But it just seems like whenever there's money needed for corporations and money needed for the police department or for the military, there's always money. But when it comes to social issues and, helping out the middle class or the lower class, there's never money. So, I think that's where I really connected with Bernie on it. But I don't know. Do you think Bernie's going to get any kind of position in Biden's cabinet?
He's not going to. I think Biden's already said as much because his argument, and I don't think it's a bad point he's making, is that we need very strong leaders in the Senate to combat the Republicans. That's his reason for not giving a spot to Bernie or to Elizabeth Warren. And so he's not going to get a spot in the cabinet, I can assure you that. But I love Bernie. I voted for him in the primaries in 2016. Felt to me to have lost a little bit of his mojo in 2020, but he still stands for the same wonderful things. And so I hope that he is able to have influence on Biden. I think he will. Did my camera just drop a lot right there? What happened?
Yeah, you just changed. The coloring just changed all of a sudden. You're ethnic before you weren't.
That's more my natural skin color. I think it happened.
White. You're back to being white then. And
I was trying to do this for you. I was trying to say, I don't understand. There's always money. Whenever you look, there's always money for wars. There's always money for corporations. Why can't there be money for all of us? That's all I'd like to say. And now we go back to the very white version of Ben Gleib.
This is so cool. Is this on? How do you download this? This is
my secret. I don't share my. Magicians don't share their secrets.
And you're not a magician. You're a comedian.
It's a strong point, but I have magician tendencies. You know what I mean?
I noticed that. Ben, I want to go back and kind of look
I'll
at that.
Never tell you. You never know that Bruce Wayne is Batman unless you happen to be, fucking.
I like that. I like Batman. Tell what Batman's superpower is. Really, wealthy, being
the ability to bring people together through love.
Being wealthy,
he's got great tools. He's got great stuff that makes him able to do things.
Scared of bats. Okay, cool. Batman.
Is he scared of bats? I don't think he's scared of bats.
He was scared of bats. He was scared of bats, and then overcame it by going to a bat cave, and then
okay.
Yeah.
I look so white. I don't like this. Here's the thing. Here's my natural skin color, but it's on my 720p crappy camera on my laptop. This is how I look in life. Is like this. That's my skin color.
I see.
But there's a higher quality camera on the other one. You choose. Which one do you prefer, Mona?
I like the first one. I like your whiter version.
You're always trying to whitewash me. I get it.
I feel more comfortable when you're in a more privileged position. That's all.
Thank you so much. So do I.
Yeah. So I really appreciate that. Ben, I was reading Wikipedia. Now, I don't know if you made that or somebody made that for you.
Not me.
Not you? You didn't do it? I see that you graduated from University of California, San Diego, and you did communications and theater. Did you start doing stand-up in college, or did you start doing stand-up way after that?
I did just a touch of it in college. I hosted a couple of fraternity events where I did stand-up, and I did have a TV show in all of college. So I had my own late-night talk show, and I hosted a live call-in show every week. So among those two things, I got a ton of experience on stage telling jokes, making people laugh, trying to work my way through my speech problem. And then when I graduated is when I really started. My first set, though, was in the summer after sophomore year of college at the LA Connection Comedy Theater. And and so if you count from then, that was 1997. I've been doing this 23 years. If you don't count from then, from when I graduated and I really started, then it was 2000, and it's been 21 years.
I moved to America in 1995.
1995?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. I moved to the U.S. In 1995. That's
Where are you from again?
Pakistan.
You're from Pakistan, or Pakistan, as it really should be said.
Pakistan, yeah. But some people get a little twisted when I say Pakistan. They're like, what? I'm like, Pakistan. They're like, oh, okay.
I don't know if you remember this moment, but one of my dear friends, Amna Nawaz, do you know who that is?
No.
Amna Nawaz, she's one of the anchors of PBS NewsHour. And she and I, back before that, she used to anchor ABC News Digital, and I co-anchored it with her for a week in New York. Yeah. But she got to moderate one of the presidential debates on the Democratic side early, and I remember people kind of gave her some shit for the fact that she pronounced Afghanistan in like the real way. And all the candidates didn't know what she said. She's like, and what would you do with the situation in Afghanistan? And people are like,
exactly.
Sorry, what country did you say?
Exactly.
She stuck with it and said it that way again. And eventually she like slightly softened it. And then they finally understood.
You know what it is, Ben? For us, like when we say things like Pakistan or Afghanistan, when we say it, even when to a non-Pakistani or non-Afghani person, it almost feels like we're betraying our own. It almost feels like a form of betrayal. But I'm like, how else am I supposed to communicate this if I don't speak kind of the same accent as the person I'm communicating this to?
I agree with that. Like, this maybe is not a popular opinion, but I think it's always a little strange. Like, I think either have an accent or don't, but I'm on the fence. I was going to make the comment that sometimes when like news anchors, when they get to the Spanish word or news reporters, they'll go super heavy on the Spanish accent, and it just seems incongruous to the way you're speaking that time.
Yes.
You like kind of pick one or the other, but I'm probably wrong on that. I guess it's okay to have your American accent, and then when you get to the cultural word, to hit it properly.
Yeah. So, I think in that moment, your ethnic pride just comes out just for like a second, and then you like retreat back to the Americanized version of yourself.
Yeah, and I speak Spanish, somewhat okay. And so I think I pronounce Spanish words better than most gringos, even though I'm not really white anyway. But
you're Jewish.
That's correct, and I'm half Israeli. But during the Telethon for America recently, we were doing it just like the night before Election Day, and I hit at one point. It was after some video from a Latino performer, I can't remember who, and I came out and I hit their name. I mean, it might have even been actually, it might have been, can't remember if it was after Gina Rodriguez or if it was after Ida Rodriguez. One of the Rodriguez's, I came out and I was like, Ida Rodriguez, everybody. And I was just trying to hit it with enthusiasm. Not after that, I was like, I was a little strong.
What, was it received well though?
I didn't really have time for feedback. I just mid-word, I like softened it a little bit. I was like, Ida Rodriguez. I tried to save it and moved on.
Ben, you mentioned that you had a speech problem or speech issue. Is that what you mentioned? And what was the speech issue you had? Did you have it as a child? And
I did. I was as a child from birth till about, I'm trying to make my head as big as yours in this frame here. So I think I just finally did it. But to sit forward.
It's the hair. It's the hair, Ben. It's a lot of hair. You
got gray hair.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I I had a speech problem started about age 3, and it lasted with me all the way till about age 22.
Well,
On and off. It was a stutter, but beyond that, it was like a disfluency that I oftentimes just couldn't even make sounds come out of my vocal cords. I couldn't talk often. And it was really challenging time. And I knew that I had this ability to be a very capable speaker and performer. And I knew that I had the ability to be very funny and to make people laugh. And I just couldn't sometimes even talk. I'd have to tell teachers never to call on me unless I raised my hand. I had lots of anxiety about being called on in class. It was
very
intense.
And I mean, this is something you said you developed when you were 3 years old?
Yeah, it started around then. I found some home movies. Maybe it really started at like 4 or 5, but at 3, I saw a home video a few years ago about me at 3, and I was talking at such a rapid pace. I was like, that I think like my brain couldn't keep up with it or something, or my mouth rather couldn't keep up with my brain or something. So I think maybe like the universe just forced me to slow down for about 2 decades by making me unable to speak when I wanted to.
I mean, Joe Biden is a very big advocate. I mean, he overcame stuttering, and he's
and he still stutters a lot.
He's still stutters, but he's like, you know what it is though, Ben. It's just like, I must confess that there is this level of compassion and kindness that is in Joe Biden that I really appreciate and I really respect. And I feel like, when you have something like that, it humbles you. It humbles the shit out of you, where you're just like, wow, this is a huge thing that I have to overcome, and I have to, it humbles the hell out of you. Did you get made fun of in school? Did you get bullied because of it? Like, what did you go through, man? You must have went through hell.
Big time. I totally got bullied for it and made fun of and beaten up, and had people come at me a lot, especially in the earlier grades. Yeah. But even as late as 8th grade, I got jumped one time by a group of dudes in 8th grade.
Because you had a speech impediment?
Yeah, I think you're just a target. You're one of the people that people can easily make fun of.
Yeah.
And
where did you go to school? Where did you go to school?
I went to school in Beverly Hills, believe it or not, and it was still like that. Yeah, I went to school in what I grew up in most of my childhood in South Central Beverly Hills, as I call it. It's a joke. It was geographically South Central in Beverly Hills, but that's also like the less well-off area. It was the houses that are fancy are the ones north of Wilshire, and we were south of Wilshire, just near the slums of Beverly Hills, just a little north of there.
So Beverly Hills adjacent?
It was in Beverly Hills, but it was very close to Beverly Hills adjacent, I guess you would say.
Got it.
I always feel like I have to explain it because I loved where I grew up, and it was a really nice neighborhood, but I don't want people thinking – there's nothing wrong with being rich, but I don't want people thinking I was rich when I wasn't. We were a lower middle-class family. Yeah. My parents, most years made between $30,000 and $50,000, and we didn't have the cool stuff or the cool clothes, and we lived in a very modest house. And so I want to explain that so people don't think I came for money or something. I did not, but I got to live in a very beautiful place, very beautiful part of the world.
Right. I mean, when you say that you had kids jump you, I mean, these are white privileged kids. I don't understand.
Yeah, I think those kids that jumped me were all, if not mostly, white. The schools weren't all white, but Beverly Hills High School, where I went to high school, was definitely not all white, but it was vast majority white, I guess. There's also a lot of Persian kids. Beverly Hills is a big Persian community.
Sure.
But there was a lot of black kids. I was on the football team, barely, but I was. And we had a lot of black kids I was on the team with.
Got it. And what did you play? What position did you play?
I mean, I just did a video. I posted it 30 minutes ago about how I have lifelong back problems from it, even though I barely played. But when I did play, I was a backup quarterback. I was wide receiver. I was defensive end and tight end. That was most of what I did.
And you just, I mean, football is a brutal sport. I mean, you probably got hit enough times to be like, all right, I got enough injuries. I'm out.
Yeah, the problem is I just played scared, and you can't do that when you play football. You have to come at the people coming at you with equal force to kind of like mitigate the force. But to me, I didn't really understand that. I was like, some guys come and tackle me. I'm going to kind of go like that so I don't get hurt as much. and then you just get hurt worse. But my back injury didn't even come from that. It came from this one asshole on the team that always wanted to bully me on the team. He just never was cool to me. And after a drill one time in practice, the play was done. I turned around just to walk back to the huddle, and he just dove at my back and just fucked my back up for no reason. I saw him working at a restaurant years later, and I was friendly to him, but I kind of regretted it.
Did you just try to take a selfie? I'm like, hey man, come over here. I want to take a selfie with you.
He did want to. He was like really excited to see me, and I'm like, hey, what's up, man? But what can you do? But at the same time, while I was on the team and I didn't get much playing time, although I did in summer league throw a touchdown pass and run in a touchdown pass. And during a real game, in the real season, I did sack the quarterback once, but very Rudy style. But I also created, our school didn't have a lot of school spirit, so I was senior class vice president, and I wrote a whole thing in the paper about how we have no school spirit, and I created pep rallies for our schools. We had pep rallies on Fridays, and the team captains and me got to leave practice for an hour to go host these pep rallies.
How fun! When I
stammered my way through.
Man, when I moved here, nobody told me what dick kids are here in high school. I mean, they're just awful. It's not like that. We don't really have bullies in schools in Pakistan. Bullying is not a thing. And if you are a bully, you really get your ass whooped. I mean, it's just really frowned upon to be a bully. It's really frowned upon. Your teachers and your parents will be the first ones to whoop your ass. Like, it's just not tolerated. Yeah, it's not tolerated. It's not a thing of just like, oh, that kid's a bully. Oh, okay, sorry, we can't say anything. It's just like, if you bully another child, the teacher will just walk up to you and just punch you in the fucking face and be like, don't fucking bully that child. Like,
I love that. I wish I had that teacher.
Yeah, it's pretty hardcore like that. So I mean, I remember moving here and being like, this is the fucking hellhole, because I went to an inner city high school in Jersey City, and we're like these poor immigrant kids, so it's primarily Black and Latino kids, and I'm like maybe one of 4 South Asian kids in the entire school, and we're fucking getting picked on every single day. They're calling us curry munchers, and they're passing by us and they're like, you smell like curry. I'm like, curry's delicious. But it's just like, that's the kind of shit that you experience as a kid, and you're like, I don't understand. You become so self-conscious about yourself. You're like, I'm not good enough. Let me keep my mouth shut. But as South Asian kids go, and I'm sure you can vouch for that too, when you come from a Jewish family too, you're expected to have good grades. And when you have good grades, now you're immediately on everybody's radar, and now they want to fucking kick your ass because you're doing well, right? And they hate you for it.
Yeah, they want to jump you as though they can steal your good grades, and that's not how it works.
That's right. I mean, I used to have this thing where some of the kids would try to copy off of me, so I would write down all the wrong answers and just last 10 minutes erase all the wrong answers, put in all the right answers, and then submit it, and then just watch them fail. It was
that's hilarious.
I used to do that. That was a lot of fun. Ben, are you an only child, or do you have siblings?
I have a sibling. I have a younger brother, Ron. He's awesome.
That's awesome. And what does he do? Is he in entertainment too?
Not in the least. No, he for years ran these restaurants in Santa Barbara as the operations manager, and now he's the operations manager for a temple in Santa Barbara.
For a temple, a Jewish temple?
Yep.
How lovely. That's amazing. Now, did you grow up? I mean, I've met your mom. She's Israeli. She's a wonderful sweetheart. She's just such a lovely human being. Did you grow up in a pretty a religious family? Was being Jewish very big part of your identity growing up? Was that a thing for you guys?
I wouldn't say it was a big part. I mean, I feel like a lot of Israelis that aren't Orthodox, like we were not, kind of feel like they gave at the office, and they aren't very religious themselves. So I'd say overall my parents are like pretty atheistic, but we grew up culturally Jewish for sure, very much. We had Shabbat dinners. We would celebrate all the high holidays, go to temple for that. We'd go to my grandparents' house for the high holidays and celebrate there. And my grandparents were definitely more religious. But so with the traditions, I grew up for sure. I still like to celebrate those and still do with my family when it's not a pandemic. But I love the traditions that religion can bring. I do not like the dogma. I think it's very cocky and ridiculous to claim that for sure how stuff is. I think there's so many beautiful teachings. I just think all religion should come with an asterisk.
Yes.
I just said, we'd like to believe.
All right. So I'm Muslim. I grew up Muslim, and you grew up, or culturally Jewish. So,
Jewish. I got bar mitzvah and confirmed. I just, I wasn't like a fervent believer. I'm in some ways more spiritual now than I ever was.
Sure, absolutely. And thank God for living in America, because America kind of grants you that, right? You have like that freedom. Now nobody's breathing down your neck to go to the synagogue or go to the mosque, right? My mom tries to do that, but I shut that shit down real fast. But that being said, what do you think about, I'll tell you the dogma in the Muslim faith that really bothers and irritates the shit out of me. But what is it about the Jewish faith and the dogma in the Jewish faith that irritates you?
Of like the Orthodox people?
Of the Orthodox people, and whatever that kind of spectrum of faith that bothers you.
I just really do not like. I have disdain for the strictness of rules that clearly, to whatever source created this universe, to whatever God is in reality, he doesn't care if you mix meat with cheese. He doesn't care if you eat pork or shrimp. He doesn't care if you're gay. He doesn't care about what you're doing in the bedroom unless he's watching, in which case he a freak too. You know what I mean?
Very kinky.
Right. Super. So I don't like that. I don't like that Orthodox Jews have to wear the same outfit every day. God cares what outfit you're wearing. It doesn't make sense. I don't think you have to have curly sideburns to be devout.
Can you explain where the curly sideburns come? I mean, do you have any kind of?
I don't even know the answer to that. My best theory is that they love Carl's Jr. curly fries. I don't know.
Carl's Jr. curly fries?
I don't know the answer. I don't know what it is. I did learn it at some point. I can't remember. More power to them. If you like it, go ahead and do it, of course. But it's just, right. As somebody who grew up not getting it, it's one of those things that kind of makes me feel funny,
Yeah, I'm all about that. I mean, for me, the dogma in Islam about this whole nonsense that women have to cover themselves up and look like beekeepers is a fucking ridiculous. It's a ridiculous comment. It's a ridiculous thing. I mean, if you're living in the Middle East in like 120, 140 degree weather, the last thing you want to fucking do is being that you don't in goddamn fucking all black. For fuck's sake. Like,
that is correct. And even Orthodox Judaism does the same thing. They separate the men and the women. They tell the women to put a thing on their head. It's like, it's just unnecessary. But
a lot of the restrictions are usually reserved for the women, and I can tell you that as a Muslim woman who grew up in a Muslim country, in a conservative Muslim country, I saw shit that was just beyond fucking disturbing, right? I mean, people doing some really horrific things in the name of religion. We had a situation in my grandmother used to live about an hour from us in the city that I grew up in, Karachi, which is a southern city of Pakistan. And I remember this one guy. He was a mullah who used to teach young girls and young boys how to read the Quran and to learn how to teach them how to read the Quran in Arabic. And he actually ended up raping this 13-year-old girl. And like literally, skipped town and like went and hid whatever fucking little village that he came from, and never got punished for it, never got anything. And all the blame and all the stigma and all the fucking shame was put on this poor little girl. Oh. And I remember that as a child, and it being really like traumatizing, like really looking at that and being like, yo, this is some crazy fucked up shit. And, a lot of people doing some really horrific things. There was this other guy that was an extended family member, very religious guy. He had ended up, this is going to get a little dark, he kidnapped my cousin, who was 9 years old. Him and his lover at the time, they sodomized and molested my cousin, murdered him, and then buried him on the outskirts of the city. And we were looking for him for about 2 months. And then finally we ended up finding his body through, undercover cops that discovered it. And the only reason they even discovered his body is because my uncle was a well-off guy. So if he didn't have money and didn't have enough money to, go look for his son, they would have probably just ignored the case and never even dug into it. So there's a lot of, pedophilia is a very big problem in Pakistan. I mean, even the current prime minister.
Why?
pedophilia is a very big deal because, you're talking about sexual repression, right? You're talking about making it a taboo, shaming people, saying that having premarital sex will put you in hell. You're promiscuous. You're going to burn in hell. And the most easy access that you have is to children. Children are the ones who are playing in the streets. They're the ones you can go and get access to, right? Your neighbors are the ones that you trust. You're a young man or whatever, and you have your urges and desires, and you possibly have also severe mental illness. You combine all those really fucked up things together, and you have a perfect formula for, creating a population of pedophiles. So
and you said the current prime minister is what?
The current prime minister came out and said that pedophilia is the biggest shame that is carried on in Pakistan. It's like one of the biggest shames that Pakistan has, is because pedophilia is so rampant. I mean, it's really, really bad. It's really bad. Pedophilia is a really big problem. Listen, my uncle, my mom's first cousin, who I was born and raised in front of, tried to molest me when I was 11, 12 years old. He came over to rape me. I mean, these are real things, right? This is a real thing. I was too smart. He couldn't get his hands on me. But these are real. Yeah. But, and look, had he gotten his hands on me, had he, God forbid, raped me, he would hide behind the fact that he's a religious man. And that's the shit that irks me about the dogma of Islam, right? All these horrific men, all these horrific people even doing horrific things, and then hiding behind the name of religion, saying, I'm a religious person,
And it seems completely, it's irregardless of what religion, because look at the Catholics, look at Catholicism.
That's right.
Once you don't immediately repudiate and discommunicate every single person who is guilty of pedophilia.
That's right.
And say that's not what our religion stands for, but instead you shield them, the religion should crumble.
That's correct.
Every one of those leaders should crumble at the very least and lose all authority forever, and they don't. It just makes it a joke in that way.
Right. That's correct. But listen, because the brainwashing is so intense, right? The thumb, the crushing thumb of religion, and bowing to the religion, and this whole mentality of like this monolithic culture of just believing in just this one source, and kind of discarding all kind of logic, which is totally ridiculous, because Islam preaches, if you go to the original teachings of Islam, it's quite the opposite. It is about challenging, and it's about questioning, and it's saying, hey, if something doesn't fucking make sense, ask the questions. Ask the goddamn questions, But here we are, and I think that's my kind of core problem. And also mixing of the church and state. Every fucking Muslim country has mixing of church and state. It's a massive problem. I mean, the proof's in the pudding, right? I mean, pretty much every Muslim country, or predominantly Muslim country, has mixing of the church and state, and they are in chaos. They're in absolute chaos. The economies don't do well. There's immense amount of corruption, and that's the perfect formula for disaster. But they refuse to separate church and state, because the dogma is so strong,
And look, I mean, that again is pervasive across all religion, because look, even as Trump was starting to want more and more adulation and more blind support, he started surrounding himself. He's brought into his administration this famous preacher, this mega preacher. He brought these people in that would touch him and blindly say, God is believing in you. And there's sadly this desire in humanity to attach to cults and tribes much more than we are to objective truth and progression and evolution. I mean, look at even the great schism in the Arab world, in Islam. Look at the schism, not even the Arab world, but just in Islam in general. Look at the schism between Sunni and Shia. Yep. It all started because of people having a disagreement about who the son of the prophet, when, what his name was, and where it's like arbitrary details. It always misses the forest for the trees. It never is the teaching. It's never a disagreement about the core of the teaching. It's about a little detail that people would rather fight and have, this is my group that thinks this way, your group thinks otherwise, instead of the teachings, of which all the major religions have the same teachings practically.
That's correct. That's correct. I mean, this whole, I don't know if you know this, and I don't know a lot of how much the viewers know about this, but that whole division between Shia and Sunni started the day Prophet Muhammad passed away. I mean, literally right after his death, his major caliph that he had and his youngest wife went to battle with the nephews. Like, literally right after his body didn't even cool off. And were already going to battle, and they were already fighting with each other, because the whole division between Shia and Sunni is that, Sunnis believe that the person or the carrier of, like, to put forward as the true teachings of Islam should be the person who is well deserving, while Shias believe that it should be someone who's the bloodline and the lineage of Prophet Muhammad. And that's where the big division happened, right? And to this day, they fight like cats and dogs. And that, to me, I'm sorry, the extremists on both sides are fucking idiots. Because at the end of the day, it's just like, what do you achieve from it? I mean, to me, honestly, Ben, it kind of boils down to me about my dick is bigger than yours. I mean, it's just about dick size. It's just saying, hey, I'm more powerful, more bigger than you. I mean, look, even what Saudi Arabia is doing in Yemen, right? They're single-handedly eliminating. I mean, it's a fucking genocide, right? And what is that about? Because Yemenis are Shias and Saudis are Sunnis. They're like, it's a full-blown fucking genocide there. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck that they're Muslim. They don't give a fuck about that. But then
we don't give a fuck either. We only side with the side that is our strategic ally and our oil ally.
That's it. It's all about the Benjamins, baby. Benjamins. It's all about the Benjamins, baby. I don't know, Ben. I know the religion is a bit of a touchy topic, and some people don't really like to get into it. So I appreciate you being candid and candid about it. But let me
just say one more thing on it, though, since I trashed before you move on to it. As I also plug in my Ethernet cable because I think my internet is starting to suck. No, it's too far away. Forget it. I have spent a lot of time in Israel in recent years, and I went on this Reality Israel trip with the Schusterman Foundation. I went on now 2 of them. And I reconnected to my faith in a way where it's about the spirituality and the essence and the positive messages. Had some very spiritual moments at the Western Wall, realizing how all beings, even beyond humans, all beings are all the same and have a similar desire to feed our families and to be protected and sheltered. This amazing moment I had with an ant. I was climbing up the Western Wall. It was really cool. But I also made sure when I was there and I dove deep in this like learning trip, I was there to learn all about the conflict and the complexities of it. It was more from the Israeli perspective. And so I made sure to stay an extra few days, and I took a very, very enlightening day trip into the Palestinian territories. And I made sure that I also visited the gravesite of Yasser Arafat, and I made sure that I, spoke with people who were in Ramallah and Bethlehem, and I did podcasts from there, from the wall, from Banksy's walled off hotel right at the wall, separating the two on the Palestinian side, trying to dive deep on these issues, because if we don't talk to each other, there's no path forward. And if we don't talk to each other, there's no way to realize how in some ways silly and misguided our longstanding disagreements are.
Yep, absolutely. Ben, what made you kind of go and look on the, Palestinian side? Do you feel like it enlightened you? It kind of gave you another perspective? Like, what did it do for you?
I think it did all of that. It being in the Palestinian side showed me the humanity up close. It showed me the faces of the children that are playing there in this dusty, walled off area that doesn't have a beach. That when Israel has so many beautiful beaches on their side, I've often said, just give them a beach would be nice. That would help. And what it's like being behind a wall that is restricting your ability to be free and to roam freely. And I know that's a complicated issue too, of course, because that wall was built, to protect the Israelis from lots of indiscriminate explosions and attacks. So that goes both ways, but it's not a good situation, and we need a 2-state solution, and we need to all peaceably coexist. And blockading them from receiving shipments of food is not a wise idea, and making sure that and as much as I very much believe in the cause of Israel and the purpose of it and the need that arose for a Jewish state in the years after the Holocaust, I don't think that the disproportionate responses to these attacks does anybody any good.
Yep.
It's not cool. And so, we just all need to realize that we are all the same. We are all human. Our cultural differences are flavor.
Yep.
They are seasoning. They are not the essence. They are not the meal.
That's right.
And so you choose whatever spices you want, but we all need the same protein,
We do need the same protein. One of my
and are made of it.
Say that again?
And are made of it.
And are made of it, exactly. One of my dear friends that is, we've become internet buddies, and his name is Adar Weinreb, and he is one of the biggest peace activists in Israel. And he's someone who was born and raised in New Jersey and then moved out to Israel. He served in the military there. He told me, I asked him, I'm like, what was your journey to becoming this activist? I mean, what motivated you to, kind of cross that line to be like, let me take a step back? And he goes, Mona, I remember being in the, in our, training camp. And he goes, I remember there was a poster of a, Hezbollah, trainee. And he's like climbing, crawling under, like they do under, wires or whatever. And he goes, and I looked at that and I said to myself, well, that's exactly what I did today, right? The way he's training is the way I was also training today. So what is the difference between him and me? Like what we're doing the exact same thing. And he goes, it really kind of put me down like this path of trying to understand like why we're both doing the same fucking thing on just opposite sides. Like, what is this about? And he has become a huge, advocate. He goes on the other side and pulls in Palestinian activists and brings them on board. I mean, what he is doing is really amazing and really fascinating. And I look at that and, it gives me hope. It gives me hope when I see something like that, right?
Yeah, you have to bridge the gap. And during this trip, we met with organizations that are doing work with Palestinians and Israelis together. My cousin Gili was doing work going across border and trying to work together on things. And in fact, my uncle was a big part of one of the only peace agreements ever made between the Palestinians and the Israelis in the Oslo Accords. He was a high up environmental minister in the Israeli government. And when those accords did not succeed in passing a lot of the things they had hoped to do, the one that did pass was the environmental accords of them working together to share clean water and to share resources. And that's where you start with the necessities of life. Unfortunately, it's now been decades since, but
Yep, absolutely. I think it's beautiful. I mean, I would love to go to Israel. I would love to go and visit. I don't know.
Israel's amazing. It is the most beautiful country. It is incredible. The people are wonderful. The beaches are wonderful. The food is incredible. It's awesome.
I would love to go, and I would love to also kind of take a trip down, to the Palestinian side. That's the territory that's shared by both Israelis and Palestinians. I mean, I would love to do that. Honestly, for the longest time, I just kind of avoided that, the whole Israel-Palestinian, they even thought of even visiting, because it just felt so overwhelming to be like, how do you process this? Like, where do you stand? It's so overwhelming, the history, the fights, the wars. And after talking to Adar and, even talking to you, talking to, the Palestinian friends, it just gives me a little bit more hope. It gives me a little bit more understanding where it's in more bite-sized, sizes for me to process it and to understand it, because we have a similar thing in Pakistan, right? Where Pakistan and India had this whole battle where we were this one giant country and then we split off and now it's about Hindus and Muslims. It's like, well, we were the same assholes for the longest fucking time. Why all of a sudden are we different? It's like when you come to America, nobody in the West looks at, me or looks at Padma Lakshmi and just like, oh, you're Muslim and nobody, they just see two brown women. That's all they see. Okay. Brown women, Indian-ish. That's it. That's all you're looking at. You're not like, faith is not really a component. And we look at faith as this kind of huge part of our identity where most people don't even fucking practice their faith. So it's absolutely.
But again, it's that need for tribalism. I mean, look, in America, we've got this divide between Trump supporters and people who have the ability to reason.
Yep.
And to use their brains to determine when they're being fed a line of bullshit. It's just always that line. It's, you said people that don't practice their faith. It's people don't practice their beliefs either. They just want something to argue about. Like, look at the whole taking a knee during football controversy. One of the things I found so funny and sad about it at the same time was the people who were watching football saying, I'm going to boycott, and these disrespectful non-patriots that are taking a knee to peacefully demonstrate against racial injustice and police corruption. They're saying that while the national anthem is playing on their TV, while they are sitting on their couch eating chips.
That's right.
They don't stand in their living rooms a national anthem, but they're willing to say that person who's taking a stand for something that means something is horrible. We just want outrage. We want to be outraged. We don't really know why we're outraged.
Yep. Ben, do you feel, I was watching, President Obama was promoting his book, Promised Land, on Colbert. And he said something really brilliant. And
also the appropriated title from the Jews, by the way. It's some bullshit.
I know it is. I actually read that. And I was like, wait, I think the Jews already got that. So I don't know why you're writing this.
What's part 2 going to be called? The Chosen People? Come on now.
Listen, that would be a little too on the nose, Ben. A little too on the nose. But he said something really brilliant, and I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on it. He said, Colbert asked him, and which I'm going to ask you too. He said, how do you get the genie back in the bottle of conspiracy theories, right? This hardcore 30% base that Trump has. They are hardcore QAnon believers, crazy conspiracy theories, no really facts to back any of it up. How do you think we get the conspiracy theory genie back in the bottle? How the fuck do we do that?
That is the $1 trillion question, Mona. I mean, whoever can solve that will save the planet and will be a billionaire. Somebody has to figure out, here's what we have to do. I don't know how you do it at this point when we ceded the future to this post-truth era without even putting up a fight for the concept of truth. It's so sad and insane. But somebody has to figure out a way that we create a vetting procedure and a trusted information source that vets the truth and that we all go to for a common set of agreed upon facts. It needs to be a bipartisan, across the aisle, multi-partisan, multi-background, multiracial, multi-ethnic, multi-religion board. Maybe I'm solving it right now. You need to create a panel of people that are of all backgrounds and beliefs, but that are committed above all of that to agreeing on what the facts are. And then we can put the genie back in the bottle, because you can just check that thing and be like, nope, the Council of Truth makes very clear here with evidence and citation all the way down that what you're saying is batshit crazy bullshit.
Right. Do you think that, but Ben, it sounds really good and it sounds really even doable. It sounds doable. It's not like this kind of, in La La Land. It's a very doable thing. I think the problem with the Trump supporting this hardcore QAnon batshit crazy people is that they just that anything that has to do with any kind of diversity or any kind of diverse voice that comes in is immediately labeled as fake news, or it's immediately labeled as you're biased, right? If you look a certain way, if somebody like me comes on the panel, I'm inherently biased. But how is it that I'm inherently biased and you're not?
Oh, it's easy, because they're stupid.
Right, exactly.
They're very stupid.
Right. So then, what's amazing to me that, in Pakistan, there's the illiteracy rate is very high. Literacy rate is something like 70-75%. It's very high.
Ooh. You are not painting a good picture of Pakistan during this conversation.
Sorry, Ben. I'm sorry, but I'm trying, man. It's
no one teaching the kids to read because they're fucking all of them? Holy shit.
Listen, they're fucking the kids. It's ugly. It's not good, Ben. You'll see, I'm one of the fortunate ones. My family was like middle class, and they sent us to American schools. They sent us to, we spoke English and learned English at the same time as we were learning 3 other languages. So we were, definitely in a more privileged position. Our parents literally took all their money and spent it in our education. And I'm forever grateful for my parents to give us that, this kind of for me to even be able to have this conversation with you, right? So it's very special thanks to my parents that I can do this. But that being said, I mean, literacy rate is very high. So in Pakistan, growing up, we used to be like, man, America is such an educated country. People are kind, they're liberal, they're accepting. There's no ignorance like the way we have it here. And then you come to America, and now with the whole Trump presidency, I'm just like, what fucking side of America is this? This is not the America they told us growing up in Pakistan. Like, this is not it. You guys are like almost worse than the people back in Pakistan.
I can't sleep sometimes over it because Trump, even though thank God he's going to be gone soon, he has set us back in progress about 30 or 40 years.
30, 40
I mean,
years?
Not in the laws, thank God, yet, even though in some of them,
yes.
But in the attitudes and in the emboldening of people that were a silent majority who were not even a majority, a silent minority, really,
sure.
who were embarrassed due to obvious humanity into at least shutting the fuck up.
Yep.
And now they have been emboldened to restart all of it and teach their hateful beliefs to a whole new generation of people. It had become unacceptable to publicly and out loud say these things. And the president of the United States says, stand by, and doesn't by rote nature condemn white supremacy. And it's shitty. It's the first time in my life. And so sadly, in the same cycle that I ran for president, that I thought, do I want to live here in this months later, not while I was running, but months in the year after that, because my campaign ended in December, and just seeing it get worse and worse and worse. And the first time my girlfriend, like, if it weren't for our family that was here and wanting to live in the same place as my family, I would be happy to move to a more tolerant, more intelligent place.
Right. Absolutely. If you were to move, Ben, where would you move? Canada?
I think I do like Canada. It's a little boring for me, but I like it. I guess I don't do much outside of my place these days anyway, so I guess it would be fine. Very nice people. My favorite place in the world is Holland. Amsterdam's my favorite city. I might move there. It's an incredible place. I might move to Israel, but that's got its equal amount of crazy. I just love the vibe there, and it's just a very fun life over there.
Yeah.
Minus the chance, God forbid, of random explosions. But I have lots of family there. But probably Amsterdam if I could choose any place. Maybe Spain, maybe a Spanish-speaking country, maybe Mexico if it weren't so riddled with drug cartels. I mean, there's problems everywhere. I just want a peaceful, happy place. Maybe it's Switzerland. Maybe it's
New Zealand.
Oh, you're right. My girl really wants to move to New Zealand.
Okay.
And I've never been to New Zealand or Australia, but they both seem quite lovely. New Zealand could be awesome. She's a huge Lord of the Rings fan. She has Lord of the Rings tattoos, so I could be open to it.
Okay, New Zealand, yeah. I like Jacinda. I like Jacinda a lot. I think she's a pretty solid leader. I think she's got a good thing going on there. You know, listen, they got rid of COVID. I mean, gotta get rid of her.
Have you been to Amsterdam?
I have passed through Amsterdam, but I didn't really get to explore it much.
It's a pretty magical place.
I want to go. I definitely want to go. I've been to London. I've been to Paris. I've been to Germany twice or 3 times already. I went to Cologne. I went to Aachen. I went to Berlin. My ex is a German Jewish scientist.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I go visit him whenever. We're still very good friends. So whenever I go to Germany, I go and stay with them and him and his brother, and we just had like the best time. They're just really nice guys. So yeah, really, he's actually considered one of the top cancer research scientists in the country.
Your ex?
My ex, yeah.
Are you trying to hit again? Is that why you're saying all these nice things, or what?
Oh no, that ship has sailed. That ship has so sailed. Like, we went to Paris together, and imagine lying in the same bed as your ex and being like, "Good night, do not touch me. Good night, no desire." Okay.
I've done it, but it wasn't my choice. That's how the night ended.
No, I think it was both our choices, where we were just like, "That ship has sailed. Thank you very much." No, but he's a really good friend. He's a good person, so I can't take that away from him. But yeah, Ben, have you? I know that I did your show. You have a virtual stand-up comedy club. Have you guys been continuing doing your shows still, or what's going on with that?
Very much. Yeah. It's growing and growing. We have Mike Birbiglia now about to do his, in December, his something like his 9th, 10th, and 11th shows at Nowhere, and 12th. We've got incredible people, Sklar Brothers, doing their Dumb People Town podcast with Daniel Van Kirk, and at a week from Saturday, I have my show I do semi-weekly called Gleib Off the Top, Crowd Work and Improvised Madness. I have one this Saturday. It's a wild show, and I have a special actually offer for your listeners if you guys are interested in attending. I have a discount promo code if you go to the website nowheretime.com, and you click on my show for this Saturday, Gleib Off the Top. If you use the promo code, just one word, you get a discount ticket. And for this week only, because I want to spread the word about this show, you also, if you get the one ticket, you get 2 free more tickets.
What? That's amazing.
You get 3 tickets for less than the price of one, because I want people to spread the word. I do these very long, very crazy, very weird, face-filtered crowd work improv shows. I get a little stoned halfway through. It becomes wild and weird. It's really fun, and I really hope people come. So, yeah, Nowhere is going amazingly. We've now helped make, for comedians whose work stopped when the pandemic hit, over $600,000 of lost income. And we've done over 400 shows, and it has been an incredible thing. You know, when it all hit, my ability to make money disappeared, as did so many of us.
Sure.
And that came right on the heels of having run for office for the better part of a year, where I didn't make very much money. And so I was in a financial bad place. And I thought to myself, my first thought was, I got to be able to do shows. How can I create a comedy club online? What if you invite the audience in to the broadcast and let them be on mic and on camera and let them laugh? Now you have live laughter. It should work just like a club. Went to Steve Hofstetter, called him with the idea, and we created it. And we've been up and running now since April.
Amazing.
And it's been amazing, and it's been incredible. And we now built this incredible studio in my home, this COVID-compliant broadcast stage, where we've been inviting some of the biggest acts in the country to come and perform. I'm in it right now. So as you see here, this is the Nowhere Comedy Club stage. I'm on the floating blue stage down here. And this is what the comedians see when they come and perform. They're surrounded by 32 feet of video screens of your audience completely surrounding you. And so it's as close as you can possibly come to performing in person in front of people. And I've been
to your house. Is this the back room? Is this the back?
The theater that used to be my when I had a party, it becomes a nightclub, and
that's right.
My screening room that we spent a lot of money and a lot of time converting it, making it both cool technologically and COVID compliant. And we did the Telethon for America out of here with I hosted it with Rosario Dawson, and I was from this stage. We did the Wisconsin event. Sarah Silverman performed here. It's been incredible.
What time is it, Ben?
The show this Saturday is at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern.
Okay.
And you can get a ticket again at nowheretime.com. It's really fun. It's just a completely
sounds wonderful,
politics-free, fun, just let loose and blow off some steam kind of show.
And did you say is it just you?
Jamie Kennedy's my special guest. He'll be opening for me, and Jen Saunderson will be hosting as well. Jamie might make an appearance during the main show as well. But
amazing.
It's mostly me on stage doing very long, very fun, very weird shows. And there's a VIP meet and greet afterwards if you want to attend. It's really fun. Thank you, Mark. Lee, I see, is going to try to be there. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah. When I did your show, when you were kind enough to invite me, this is like earlier in the pandemic. Was this like probably March or April or something? I think April.
That was the social distancing social club, right?
Yeah, social distancing social club.
We're still doing that as well. It's a whole separate thing. We do it 4 days a week, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. We live stream for free on all my socials or at sdscshow.com. And we have special guests and live stand-up, and people tip, and you make some money, and we all laugh and talk shit and play pun games, and it's really fun. I
had a great time doing that. That was hands down, that was one of my favorite online shows I've done thus far. Hands down, one of my favorite. I thought you guys run it so well. Everybody's so sweet and so professional. Everybody's on time. I love that. I had a great time doing that. So thank you for for having
Of
me.
course.
That was amazing. Ben, I know that the show that you had on Netflix, Idiotest.
Still on Netflix. We're not making new ones, but it's still there. It was just trending on there like a month ago.
What do you have other shows that you've been kind of working on? You have a stand-up special you've been working on during this pandemic. What are you up to?
I have not been writing as much of my own material as I'd like to. I've been writing some, and I'm about to be diving a lot deeper into that to be able to do more stand-up shows at Nowhere as I cultivate my new hour. I have an hour ready to go for my new special for a while, but I would love it to be even more next level. And so I'm going to be trying to switch out some of the material and updating it for our weirdest year. Yeah. But I've been doing this improv show. I do a monthly show at Nowhere with Greg Proops, the improv legend, called Gleib and Greg It's a G Thing, where we do Whose Line Is It Anyway style improv games with the crowd, and it's a blast. I'm bringing my podcast back, Last Week on Earth, which is my take on everything that happened during the last week on Earth. Doing it since 2011, and I've just taken long gaps, which I'm going to hopefully stop doing. And so you can subscribe to that. It comes back next week. And I created a game show I do at Nowhere called You Are the Game Show. I'll be doing that again in 2 weeks. I've been very busy. I did the Telethon for America. I did this other thing. I just relaunched a very short series I do on my Instagram called Minute with Gleib, where every day I take on a new topic for 1 minute. Yeah. And so that's on my Instagram at Ben Gleib. And I think that's probably about it. Soon I'll be unleashing daily or almost daily video clips of my stand work and my stand up and my crowd work. Yeah. You'll be seeing all over my socials. So I'm calling it the Gleib apocalypse.
Ben, you're working like an immigrant. What's happening here?
I am. I'm the firstborn of my family in this country, so we have immigrant blood. I am working around the damn clock. I want to finally get the future I want. I've been so focused on things for the country and things in the world and trying to help. I hope I played some part in helping flip Wisconsin. I helped produce the event that raised $540,000 for Wisconsin, and we won only by 20,000 votes. So I definitely played some part in that, no matter how big that role was. But I've been so focused on all these other things and building the club. I have been not as focused on my own career, which is why I'm very thankful I at least am good at improv, so I can do shows without having to be preparing material much. But I'm very excited to now. My next mission is to focus on my own career. And I think you're going to be seeing a lot more of me. Whether that's good news for you or not is up to you to decide.
It's always good news. But at least for me personally, it's good news. I love watching your stuff. I'm a fan of yours. So that's why I have you on here. Mark Lee here said, what was it like working with Rosario Dawson? It was wonderful. I mean, just so incredible. Not only did I host it with her, but she executive produced the telethon with me and Alyssa Milano and Barry Katz. And it was wonderful. I met her as a chance encounter during the pandemic at a Kevin Smith event. We're both in the Jay and Silent Bob reboot movie, and we're both in that universe. And so we just met, and we ended up talking politics for a minute. And I told her about the telethon, which she'd actually had a small part in 2018, but she wasn't like actively involved in it. And then I ended up running into her on a Zoom, and we started texting, and I asked if she would executive produce it, and she said yes. Amazing. And we started working on it pretty closely together and pitching it to places together, her and Alyssa and I and our team. And we had a lot of trouble selling it. And then we finally sold it with 7 days before the election. 8 days before the election, 7 days before the telethon. Wow. To produce a show that should take 6 months to produce, or at least 3. Wow. And we got the funding in literally 7 days before the show. And I asked Rosario if she wanted to host it with me too. And she said she was game. And so we did it. And I staffed up and hired a writing team and production team and video team and editors and producers and line producers and everything and marketers, and created a whole ad campaign and the script and the show, and the booked 70 celebrities, had people like Eva Longoria and America Ferrera and Alicia Keys and Joshua Jackson and Sarah Silverman and Sophia Bush and Alyssa and Monica Lewinsky and all these cool people. And we did the show live, and it was really, really cool. And I did not sleep for a week, and I was afraid my blood clot came back. So
I'm doing all these things, trying to help the country and trying to do good work. Our goal was to help create historic voter turnout, best ever in our country's history, and that was achieved. Yeah. So I'm glad that despite my campaign not being successful for what I wanted, I think I brought up some issues that were important to listen to, and then I ended up being at least somewhat helpful in this cycle to stop the orange monster, which we have done. So I'm tired. I have a lot of energy as a person. For the first time, I'm very tired.
I bet.
And but I'm not stopping. I'm working harder even now. It's just finally on some of my own stuff.
Good for you, Ben. I mean, I'm listening to you, and I mean, as much work as that I put in, I'm just like, I need to work harder. Like Ben is doing all this, so you're motivating me. Thank you for doing that.
You're very welcome.
We're gonna start wrapping up soon, Ben. I wanted to briefly talk to you about. This is something that I like to have a discussion with all my comedian friends that I bring on. Your kind of thoughts and take on the PC culture. I'm sure you've talked about it. What is this whole thing about? This chatter. Dave Chappelle has been in a lot of hot water, mainly because of his special that he came out and he talked about the LGBTQ community, and he specifically talked about the trans people quite extensively, and the trans community was, rightfully pretty upset. And what are your kind of thoughts on this whole PC culture? Do you think is there such a thing as PC culture? Is PC culture bad for comedy? Is it good for comedy? Is it the next evolution of comedy? What are your kind of thoughts on that?
It's a very hard question because I find myself in general just struggling between being a human and a comedian, and sometimes those are at odds.
Yeah.
And so as a human, I'm very progressive, and I embrace everybody's ability to believe what they want and to be who they believe that they are and who they are in their souls deep down. And I believe there's no reason to ever stop somebody from being themselves if it doesn't hurt anybody else. And I don't think it's helpful to have divisive language that goes against that. And I think that we need to embrace that for sure. And I think that you can be creative and create comedy that doesn't offend large groups of people. At the same time, I don't agree with canceling people over language. I don't agree with canceling people. The glee that takes over Twitter with the cancel Jimmy Fallon party. Hey, cancel Jimmy Kimmel party. Hey, cancel anyone named Jimmy party. I don't think that it should be a party to take someone's career and life away, especially when you can tell their heart and they were doing something based on a time in the past where things were acceptable. That's insane. That's canceling people for things that were acceptable back then, or trying to cancel both Jimmys for having done a blackface thing many years earlier that passed every network approval. If you're trying to cancel them, cancel every executive that's still at those networks that passed it. Cancel Lorne Michaels and cancel everybody that approved it and every writer of it. We need to put things in perspective. We need to be a little bit forgiving if somebody apologizes and says they aren't that person anymore, or they didn't mean anything then and they realize how insensitive that seems.
Sure.
Then you let them live. You let them move on. Right. And I think comedians need to be given a lot of slack to say controversial, crazy shit, because that is the last bastion, not only of truth in our society, but of ideas and sometimes, even me being a progressive liberal, we sometimes move too fast and we don't have checks and balances on us. And I don't want those checks to always be conservatives, even though sometimes conservatives are very helpful in being those checks too. But certainly comedians who are mostly liberal, but have a thought about, but does this make sense to us? But can we take a second? But can we pause? I think that that's okay. I think it's okay to ask questions. Like a thought that I had just 2 days ago when Ellen Page came out as Elliot Page.
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful for him. But I found it like so almost like letting the progression dictate even into some small degree what made sense, because the headlines all said Elliot Page comes out as transgender. Well, we don't know who Elliot Page is yet.
That's correct.
We weren't even allowed to say Ellen Page in the headline about the transition. Yeah. So I think it's okay to say that. I think it's okay to say can we ask a question? If we don't live that life ourselves, can we understand that? During my campaign, I met with this incredible transgender young man named Ashton Mota, who was born a woman, and he's at the time, 16-year-old UN Goodwill ambassador, an activist. And I went to his kitchen, sat there with him and his mom, and asked the question, said, can you help me think of the answers? How would you answer if somebody says, but what's the difference between what you're saying you feel your whole life versus somebody who's just a masculine woman? But if you can't ask that question, so if I asked that question on Twitter, I'd be canceled. But if I ask it directly to somebody out of a desire, because I'm just confused and want to understand, and they're like, oh, it makes sense. Let me answer why and what the difference is. Yeah. I felt like a boy my whole life and felt uncomfortable in women's clothing. And to me, it's not about a masculine woman. It is that I am a man. And that is what I am in my soul and always have been. And I should be free to be that. Agreed. But if we're supposed to obviously embrace that as we should also be free to ask the questions and not castigate that person either, as long as their intentions are good. Follow the intentions.
Right. Absolutely. I think, Ben, you hit the nail on the head, and which is something that I always say, intent matters, right? Intent matters. Very much so. Very, very much so. There's also this thing, Ben, I think my beef with some part of the PC culture is the fact that people getting offended on other people's behalf.
Yes.
And taking it to the extreme. Because every trans man and woman that I have spoken to and asked questions out of curiosity and out of the intent of absolutely educating myself have been super forthcoming, have been super open, right? But it's just like you said, if I was to go on Twitter and ask that question, or if you were to go on Twitter, cancel Mona, cancel Ben, right? And those are not even trans people or people who even belong to the LGBTQ community. It's probably straight people coming out and getting offended on behalf of LGBTQ. Well, LGBTQ is like, well, wait a minute. Let me answer the fucking question. I'm the one who belongs to this community, not you. So shut the fuck up. Let me just answer this.
100. People should not be offended on behalf of other people unless it's very obvious and blatant.
Listen, if you're blatantly using the N-word and being incredibly misogynistic or being very transphobic or homophobic, fuck you. You're a fucking piece of shit, right?
But still, you should say, fuck you, you're a piece of shit. You shouldn't say, and you don't deserve the right to have a career anymore. Let's have due process for people, and let's try to educate people. Sure.
I mean, look, I think now I feel like we are in a place as comics, I feel, where it's like speak at your own risk. Speak at your own risk, right? There's no longer this kind of blanket of comedy that's going to protect you. It is, Ben Gleib goes and makes a comment, well, Ben Gleib's on his own. Mona Shaikh goes and makes a comment, well, Mona Sheikh's on her own. There is no longer this blanket of comedy that comes and protects us any further, right? Because PC culture has stepped in and being like, no, we're going to fucking cancel you, right? And, I have my kind of mixed feelings about PC culture, so.
Same.
Yeah.
I think people are too PC, and I think we are becoming closed off to ideas, and that's not good.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben Gleib, always a pleasure seeing you and always a pleasure talking to you, my friend. Where can people follow you? Where can we watch more of your stuff? Where's your social website?
Thanks, Mona. What a lovely, interesting conversation.
Well, thank you.
You can follow me at Ben Gleib. My website's bengleib.com. I'm on Instagram the most every day and Twitter as well, at Ben Gleib on both. And then just please check out Nowhere Comedy Club. Yeah. It's nowherecomedyclub.com or nowheretime.com. Get tickets to my show this Saturday if you want. You get 2 free ones if you get a discount one with the promo code. And and subscribe if you're a podcast listener. Subscribe to my podcast Last Week on Earth. We've done about 230 episodes, and we're back next week.
Amazing. I'm only on my 53rd episode here, but because I've been live streaming 5 days a week, I am up to 92nd episode on my Mona's Rants. So that's been pretty
Nicely done.
Yeah. I'm probably going to hit my 100 episodes before the year is up. So that's good.
Congratulations. That's cool.
Thank you. Trying to keep up with your pace, Ben. Not nearly as cool as you, but just trying to keep up.
Well, you might get a chance. I'm about to be asleep for like a week.
Listen, man, you rest up, take care of yourself, because we need more Ben Gleib in this world. So
thank you, Mona. Ditto for you.
Thank you very much, my friend. Always a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure.
All right, take care. Talk to you soon. That was the lovely and amazing Ben Gleib. Please go and watch his show. Ben is so talented and so funny. I've done his shows, and again, he said you can go and get his show. It's this Saturday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. You can get the tickets at Nowhere Time or Nowhere Comedy Club, and you buy one ticket and you get 2 tickets for free. So can't beat that. You cannot beat that. You guys, if you haven't followed me on my YouTube channel, please do. It would mean the world to me. I will be back tomorrow with a brand new guest. If you haven't followed me on my Instagram and Twitter, you can at Mona's Comedy. Have a good night. I will see you guys tomorrow.